Hi page turners, welcome to my video. Today I'm going to be doing my February wrap up. Okay, so this February has been very slow. So at the very beginning of the month, I read a book, right? I was doing pretty good with my 30 for 30 days. And then I read this book and it absolutely it was so good that it just legit, I couldn't read anything else. I was in a reading slump. Now this happened for 10 days. I was in a reading slump for 10 days. Anyway, I couldn't read everything. I just kept comparing it and it wasn't good, right? So, and I'll talk later about this book more. But yeah, so then I read another book and I got out of it and I'm doing good with reading right now. But other than that, I was just, yeah, I didn't read much. Let me see how many books I read. I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this month I have read 9 books. Now, when I realized, hey, like, oh, this isn't gonna work with my, like, I'm not gonna be able to read 30 books, I was like, let me cut that goal in half and read 15. Now, on my TBR, I don't think I even read a lot of books I had put on my TBR. I think I read like 2, 3 maybe, but I read 9 books. Well, I'm reading 9 books. Let's start with the first book that I had this month. Ignore that. The first book is Promise and Pomegranates. That one, I'm not even sure what that one was about. My mind has completely blanked out. I read it. I read the whole thing in like 2 hours. It has like 300 pages. And I think it was like 11 o'clock at night and I was so tired. My brain was like so fuddled, I guess. And like I read the whole thing, but I remember absolutely nothing about it. And I think later on, in a couple of weeks, I'm gonna have to like reread it because I want to be able to say I finished it. Like, cause you know, like in school, they test you with the like the reading comprehension when you get the test for like whatever level you are on. And so the reading comprehension is like you have to read to understand. And I think I was just reading there. And so I really like to read to understand because it makes it a really enjoyable story. So yeah. I'm going to have to come back to y'all on that one. But yes, it took me 2 days to read. Then I read Truly Devious. This one, it didn't take me as long as I thought it would. But honestly, when I was reading it, it felt like it was 300 years. It was so long. Like, the longnicity is not the right word, but the longness of it was so incredibly, it was probably maybe 300, 400 pages, but I couldn't get past the fact that it was so long. Like the story itself, it made me feel like it was drawn out. I don't know. Anyway, I was gonna read the entire series of Truly Devious, but it was so drawn out that legit I couldn't pick up the next books because at this point I'm already halfway through the month. Well, not really when I finish Truly Devious. At this point, I'm just like, I'm so tired of this. I don't even want to read the next books. It did leave off on a bit of a cliffhanger, and so that was different, but yeah, it left off on a bit of a cliffhanger, but not enough where I'm just like, let me go get the next book. So yes, I have returned it to the library. So yes, and then I read The Minister's Black Veil. This was for a class assignment. It's basically about this man in I think the early 1600s, and he always wore a black veil. And he was a minister and no one knew why, and like he refused to take it off, and he he almost wanted to get married, but the wife was like, take off the veil, and he was like, no. So she was like, fine, I'm leaving you then. Everyone, they just talked and talked, but he basically said like this veil was the veil of God, and it was like this whole thing, and it was a bit weird, but it was for a school assignment. So yeah. Then I read Do You Have a Match by Emma Lord, and this one was about a book, it's about this video that I made about having to pick a book from the library or blind date with the book. So that was You Have a Match. That book was, oh wow. Okay, so this book, it probably took me 17 hours to read, honestly. It was about this girl. Her name is Abby. I remember. Okay, so her name's Abby, and basically she forgot she had a biological sister, like a full biological sister, same mother, same father, right? That was given up for adoption. So at this point she's like, oh my god, why would this happen? So they decided to meet up at summer camp, the whole shaboom boom, and honestly, I have to give that book 3 stars. Now that is really high for me, especially with contemporary, because I usually don't enjoy contemporary at all. So like, you know, if I read contemporary book, I'm like, I don't look at this. I just look at that, because contemporary, she was very real. Everything in her head would just be like, you know, something else a teenage girl would actually think. And I think I enjoy fantasy more. So, yeah. So I don't really enjoy contemporary very much, but yeah. 3 stars, it was good. And I mean, fantasy is always gonna be my top, like 5 stars. But yeah, 3 stars was good. Okay, so here is what got me in this gigantic reading slump. Gearbreakers. I loved it. Now, Gearbreakers is about, basically I had my sisters pick out a book for me. You will see that in another video that I have posted, and I'll link it in the description so you can see. Basically, I had 3 of my sisters pick out books for me, and I was gonna read them, you know, just enjoy, right? And so Gearbreakers is like, it had like these 2 beautiful girls on the cover. It was like, yeah, you know, it was it. So I really did enjoy Gearbreakers. So it is about this, I'll start with first perspective that we got, which was Sonia's. Sonia, I think her name's Sonia, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, Sonia is this android bot thing. Basically, she was human, and they raise you from the age of 12 to 17, and then they make you a bot. They basically make you a cyborg. They put a bunch of wires and stuff in you. Like, they took her eye and replaced it with like a red orby eye thing. Like that. I think that's the best way I can describe it. Anyway, so they're in this world called Gadolia, and in Gadolia, we have these mechas. They're big, gigantic robots, and they basically are like rulers of the world. Because apparently, a lot of years ago, this was like a big thing that legit destroyed the world. And so now the Gadolia's mechas came in. They were praying to the God, like, help us. And God wasn't answering. And they're like, fine, we don't need you. We're going to build our own. So they built their own. And of course, anyone who tries to play God, they're just being, what's the word? Give me a minute. I don't even know, man. I forget. But whoever's trying to play God, that's not going to work. So they're corrupted. And so they have the bots things basically controlling the mechas. And so basically she gets to become a pilot for a mecha group called the Valkyries. The Valkyries are the highest ups. There's a bunch of others, but the Valkyries are the main ones I remember. Now, she really does not like Gadolia and the mechas and all of it, because her hometown, basically her people were slaughtered. So I'm trying to do like a not very spoilerly I don't know. But yes, her people were slaughtered. So she was like, yeah, I'm not going to try to judge somebody else. Like, why would I do that, right? So there was that. And so I'm saying a lot of and so. I'm trying to think. Yes. Okay, next perspective is Eris. Eris, I don't know what to feel about Eris at this moment. But if you read the book, you know what I'm talking about. You know, you don't know whether to love her or hate her. But Eris is basically, she is in charge of, give me a moment. Eris is in charge of her own thing called the Gearbreakers. She's like in charge of her team, I guess. Gearbreakers are basically people who take down the mechas, because the mechas are corrupted. They're like killing people for no reason and stuff. So Eris is one of the people who are the Gearbreaker, who basically breaks the gears, on the mechas. Anyway, she has her own team and stuff, and basically Eris gets captured. Now this happens like the first 5 chapters, so not really big spoiler, but she gets captured. So basically we have Sonia who's trying to help Eris, I guess. So yes, that is what Gearbreakers is about. The whole story, everything. It was the writing was so encapsulating. I mean, that was a pure thing I do for reading, and it was just so good. And I really did enjoy it. But after that, I was in the slop. I was in the dump. I couldn't read anything else. I couldn't. I picked up multiple books. Like, I went through like the whole TBR stack of all 30 books I was supposed to be reading, and I couldn't read it. I was honestly like, I don't even know the word for it, but I was like, fumbled, I guess. I don't know. I couldn't read anything else. My mind just legit spaced and blinked out on me. I was like, what? Like, what am I supposed to be doing now, right? Anyway, so now next book is the one that I was just like, what? Now this is Ember in the Ashes. It's the one that I tried to pick up after Gearbreakers, like 10 days later. And honestly, I feel like I chose the worst week for the worst time to do 30 days of reading for February, because February doesn't even have 30 days. That's number one. Number two, Valentine's Day is in February, and I mean, many people may not do things on Valentine's Day, but we did. And then my sister's birthday's in February, and we went out for her birthday, and I don't want to read while I'm out, so I just didn't. And so, yeah, a lot of things happened in February, which I didn't really read much. But yes, back to Ember in the Ashes. That book was good. And I think it's a really old book, but it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I'm not gonna even talk much about it because I just, like, I don't know, maybe my brain's just, like, it's feeling weird right now, but it was really good. It's based with this girl, her name is Laya, and she has to infiltrate the thing called the Mask, and basically they rule over the whole world, because they're called marshals. Yes. Basically, the marshals are overruling scholars because the scholars have done something to them. They don't know what, but they've done something to them. So the marshals are just, like, overruling them, I guess. It's like this whole thing. Now, here is where theory time comes in. Well, not really theory time, but more like this is the speculation I have. Gearbreakers and Ember in the Ashes are so similar. Just for me, it was just so similar, especially after there being 2 books I've read in, like, 10 days together. But they were so similar. And I think it comes down to one, like, because the book's about Elia and Elias, right? Now, Laya, she's in the Resistance. Elias, he's in the Mask. Elias doesn't want to be there, but he has to. And that's exactly what Sonia was like in Gearbreaker. She didn't want to be with she didn't want to be a mecha pilot, but she had to. And it was just like they were both taken when they were children, and like I just think about the similarities, and it was just so similar. So it was I don't know. I loved Ember in the Ashes. It was really good. I've seen a lot of people who, like, from other books I read, I was just like, this is legit. These are characters that were, like, I can just see. Like, Elias, a main guy character, he reminded me of Manon from Throne of Glass, if you know what Throne of Glass is. Anyway, Manon, her story is about how her grandmother, she's a witch, and her grandmother is basically really hard and strict, and she just learns that she doesn't really want to be a witch. She doesn't want to be like a hard or a bad person, and I think that's exactly what Elias is. And like we learned that his mother is like the, not leader, but more like the principal of the school where the master being trained and stuff. And it's like this whole thing. I know I'm not really describing much of anything well, but it is really good. I'm thinking I'm gonna have some reading reviews for it. Like I was doing like a reading vlog. Like I had like a whole bunch of footage, and then I legit didn't even finish it. Like I spent hours on it because I did, like I said, 24-hour timer, and I stopped it when I ate or washed. And I think the stopping it is what my problem came in at, because at the end of it, I had read 2 books and I had 6 hours left. At this point, I'm like, really, Leah? So I didn't even read another book. So now after that we have drama. It's an old book. It's by Rain. I don't know. But I loved it. I read it a couple of years ago at the school library. Anyway, I read it and I loved it. And then at the library, I seen they were giving it away for free, so I picked it up. But then when I went to my grandparents' house this weekend, I read it and I enjoyed it again. For the last 2 books, when I said like this is the books I read-ish, I didn't actually finish them yet. They are right here. Let me grab them. Okay, so this is Instant Karma. If you want, I'm gonna leave my other video in the link description again. If you watch my video, then you know this is one of the books that my sister had picked out. The same one who picked out Gearbreakers. So I had very high hopes for Instant Karma because I had read other books by Marissa Myers. I have read the whole Lunar Chronicles, I don't even know. And then her other book, Heartless, and I loved it. They were so good. The characters were so lovely. They were diverse, and I really did love it. This book was so, it was just, So the book itself, the premise is good. Main character, I mean, she's not that great, honestly. I think that's why, why Marissa Meyer made the book like this, so that her main character can like grow and evolve from not being that great of a person. And I am at page, let me see, page 36. And I mean, I said 36. I'm at 236. And I actually started it today, and it was just like at points I felt like I just had to put this book down, and it was multiple points throughout the day where I was just like, I can't read this, because she was being, in my opinion, so selfish. And I don't know, I really didn't like her attitude. I didn't like the vibe that was around her. I don't know, but I might do a reading review about this, but I mean, honestly, this isn't one of my favorite books ever. And I mean, it's kind of contemporary too. It has a bit of magic realism like sprinkled in, but other than that, it wasn't. It just, I mean, so far it hasn't been my favorite. I mean, I already know how this book's gonna end. It ends how every other contemporary ends. And like, you know, happy ending. She ends up with the boy. But at this point, she's been a jerk face to the boy the whole time. So I'm just like, what? Right? So yeah, I have a couple more hours left with this, and this is actually, I'm practicing, this is I listened to the whole audiobook version of this, because I don't usually listen to audiobooks. I don't like them at all, because I fall asleep, and like the authors or whoever's reading it voice bores me to sleep, and so I don't really like listening to audios. But when I woke up this morning, Mom was like, oh yeah, go do your schoolwork, because I'm homeschooled, and listen to a book while you're doing it. And I was like, okay, I guess. And so I looked up Instant Karma because I knew I had to read it. And I basically like had it on like 4 double the speed. And I think it had 14 hours in it. I have 5 hours left. So I'm almost finished with it, and I'll be finished soon. The Queen's Assassin. I love this book. I started it yesterday, and I don't know much about what's gonna happen, what's going on. It's pretty fast paced, I guess. If I like sat down, I could sit here and read it. I was legit just reading it. So right now I am on page 190, and it is giving me very promising vibes. The way I read my books are 100 pages a day. So I am on 190, and right now it is 6:46 p.m. and that means that I need 10 more pages to read before I can go to bed. I don't consider the day successful unless I've read 100 pages in a book. Now, if we do a total like compilation of the books I read, so let's see. I read 236 pages in this book, because I just started this book today. And then plus the 80 page, no, not 80, 80's not right, 90 pages I read, that's almost 300 pages. Oh no, that's 300 pages. Yeah, so I read about 300 pages today, which is very unregular for me, because I usually don't.